We'd like to bring this meeting to order. Enough levity here. The first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll join me. I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as published.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Motion passes. So we have one person here for public comment, Jesse Steidel.
Or just stand anywhere?
You can actually come over to the very official looking podium, and you have your 3 minutes if you. I don't know.
Here.
Oh,
Yes.
well, I didn't plan for that, so.
Okay.
Hi, my name's Jessie Steidel. I'm a parent of two kids at Washington School, kindergarten and third grade. I'm also a Sandpoint local and a realtor in town. I first of all want to thank you guys for probably a lot of due diligence about the process, or the folks that are trying to buy a little piece of land there on Washington School. And I'm sure that hasn't been an easy process for you guys. I also think it's great that we're trying to be neighborly, but as a parent, someone going to a school that seems to be fuller and fuller every year, I have some concerns, obviously. I think the first thing, especially seeing the amount of growth that we're seeing now, is that it may be really short-sighted to sell any amount of land, especially something where we know in 20 years, or we assume that we're going to have more kids, or we're going to build a new school, or all of the things that we may want to do on that lot, that if we give away 7 feet or 40 inches, we may not be able to do. I think the future is probably my biggest concern. What happens when we go to try to build a new school, or any of those things. I think the most confusing thing I have about the whole problem is how it became our problem, I guess. I know that these folks, they're probably, I just built a shop, so you have some things along the way, some checks and balances. I would say, first of all, the burden lies on their contractor, on the city, or on them. I'm kind of surprised that we are shouldering the burden. And I'm sure there was no malicious intent there. People make mistakes. But why, I'm guessing, my question is, why is it now our responsibility to help them fix it? Especially because space is at a premium. Especially South Sandpoint. It's a beautiful school, it's a beautiful campus. Those lots in South Sandpoint are going anywhere from $225,000 to $300,000, and you couldn't find one now if you wanted to. I think what they're offering is, to say the least, undervalued if you just do a cost per square footage. A cost per square footage, if you sold a lot for $275,000 in South Sandpoint, they should be paying probably closer to $40,000. That's just basic calculation, but if you do any kind of cost comparison, I think they're getting away pretty easy. And it's probably for them the easiest way to deal with their problem, right? The most cost effective, as opposed to dismantling their house or paying their fines or whatever. I think the other concern I have is that once we sell, we can never get it back, right? We don't know what's going to happen in the future. So a mistake that we make now could affect my kids' kids if they want to go to this school. I also wonder, I know that there's been brought up some issues regarding, easements. And so my only big question about easements are liability, right? So yes, they give us an easement, but what kind of liability do we have there? Anyway, so I guess that's all. And I appreciate your time, and thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jesse. So we are going to move right on to Principal David Miles is giving us a presentation on Sandpoint High School. Hello.
Good evening. Howdy. Board, community. Sandpoint High School, 2020, 2021, what a year it's been. I'll try to keep this brief. I'm just going to hit some highlights and then some areas of improvement as well. And I'm just going to kind of walk you through a real quick year. And I'll be honest, it did seem to go really quick. Although sometimes I feel like last September was a really long time ago. At the same time, wow, we're already here in May and looking at graduation. So here we go. First of all, I would just like to really thank Mr. Knowles, Chris Knowles. He's our activities director. And you know, I think if there's anyone that's worked really hard in our school this year, it's been him. We basically had every activity run more or less as usual, at least from a student perspective. Everyone got to participate in sports with very minimal shutdowns. Almost all of our activities at some point or other were allowed to happen. And yes, there were some complications with fans and attendance and things like that, but at the end of the day, working with, you know, COVID quarantines and working with other schools and their quarantines and so on and so forth, all of our kids were still able to participate in all of the things that they wanted to this year. And so, you know, I think after last year losing all of our spring sports, having to modify school and everything that's going on in this past year, the fact that almost every single one of our students were still able to participate is just really amazing there. So I don't need to go through every picture, but a couple of highlights. Girls basketball ended up winning the Sportsmanship Award down at the state competition, so I can't actually think of anything that makes me more proud. I mean, that's to me more important than actually winning the state competition is the fact that they were recognized for their sportsmanship. So just wanted to put that out there that our girls basketball won Sportsmanship Award. That picture there, track, we had Braden Kaplan just break the school long jump record. He's since broken it again, and I just think that's awesome. So he's out there this spring after missing again all last spring, and his opportunity to do so, breaking the school record there as well. And then I'll also point out that we have, you know, choir concerts and even a band concert coming up, so in about 1 week from today. So just the fact that Mr. Knowles could really put all of these things together and work tirelessly to make sure that our students still had all the opportunities that they needed to make this year work is just outstanding. So I want to make sure that everyone understands we did that, and almost all of the credit goes to him. I mean, I supervised a couple activities, that's about it. He made it happen, so wanted to give Mr. Knowles that shout out. I also want to shout out to my staff. Obviously, lots of things were changing this year, whether it's the schedule, the placements. I mean, we did a lot of very last minute in the last, you know, couple of weeks before school started, adjusting schedules and making things happen. And without the staff, none of that could have happened. So they were really flexible, they were really adaptable, they made modifications, and they basically just asked, you know, what do we need to do, and we're going to make it happen. And so really great. I didn't really have any staff say, well, you know, I'm not going to work this year, or I'm not going to do this or that. They just did it. And so huge kudos out to all the staff. You can see I got a picture there. That's Mr. Brownell, the longest tenured staff member at Sandpoint High School, and he's teaching class in essentially a hall room there, right? That is the commons area. I mean, it's a hallway, right? And there he is teaching choir more or less in the hallway. So that's just one example of that. I know it looks like my staff up there in that upper corner is just lounging, but we actually wanted to have a staff meeting where we could get together and talk, so we had it outside so that people felt a little bit safer and more comfortable and so on and so forth. So again, that's just really an example of how, you know, just adaptable they were. So huge kudos to all my staff. I want to really talk about Business Professionals of America, just go into a couple of activities. Despite everything, again, this is the first time ever that Sandpoint High School qualified every single student involved in BPA to go to the national competition. So every person on our BPA team qualified through the state tournament to go to nationals, so they all were able to compete at nationals. And at nationals, we actually had, of the 8 top 3 finishers from Idaho, we had 2 of those. And then as you can see, we had 2 second place finishers and 2, one of them's a group, but 2 top 10 finishers at nationals. So I think that that's a really strong program that we're running there, so a quick shout out to BPA. I also want to talk about academic decathlon. They were the state's champions This year, obviously, a lot of accommodations had to be made for both BPA and Academic Decathlon, doing it all virtual. I actually was one of the judges for Academic Decathlon, and there's lots of hiccups when you're trying to interview and give speeches via Zoom. But despite all of that, Academic Decathlon, they were the state champions, and they were 16th, which might not sound so good at nationals, however, but 16 out of 41 teams, including teams from China. So the fact that they got 16th overall at the national competition is really pretty cool there. So just want to make sure that you know we're still doing really great things at Sandpoint High School. I'm going to shed a tear on this one, but a couple of icons here that we're going to be losing at the end of this year. And so notice they're standing kind of by the doors there, but both Mr. and Mrs. Search are retiring, and Mrs. Bird. They've all been there for quite a long time, not as long as Mr. Brownell, but been there for a long time, and they're all retiring this year. So those were a huge shoes to try to fill, and just, you know, it's going to be a sad loss at Sandpoint High School there. And what a crazy final year for them to have, I might add. So. We recently recognized all of our high honor students and also our valedictorians. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a picture of all of them, but that's a pretty good sample of the majority of them. We'll be recognizing them in about 2 weeks at our Academic Achievement Night, where we'll speak about each one of them, give them their honor cords, talk about how great, you know, their accomplishments are. But I did want to tell you that we had 2 co-valedictorians this year and 1 salutatorian. Kate Bacoe, Camille Nutter were valedictorians, and our salutatorian was Connor Bird. Really stiff competition. I would just like to point out that in order to even be considered for valedictorian this year, you had to take at least 16 AP classes.
What?
16 AP classes. And that's over a 2-year span, because we only consider 2 years, basically, their careers. This doesn't quite work that way.
Credits?
16 classes.
Classes,
That's
not
8
credits.
Not credits,
Okay.
classes. Right.
Crazy. Wow.
You have the formula where you only consider 32
Absolutely.
credits.
We only consider 32 classes, so if half of them were AP classes, you weren't even considered.
But you know, your leading students are graduating with 70 plus credits.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, right, total, for all 4 years, correct.
That's great.
I took this one.
Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. I did want to take a moment to recognize a project that our counseling staff put together this year. We called it BARK, Bulldogs, Adaptable, Resilient, and Kind. Essentially, this was the idea that, you know, we were looking at our kids this year, and you know, there's some suffering going on, some anxiety going on. There's just, you know, they're going through a lot, as well as all of us adults, in fact, probably more so than we are. And so our counseling department wanted to come up with a way to not only help them, but also showcase to other students what students are doing already to be resilient, kind, and sort of get through this whole process. And so in cooperation with Rotary and the Yellow House Foundation, they put together what was called the BARK Project. And the idea was students were tasked, and it was a voluntary optional thing, but tasked with making one of several different types of projects. It could be a poem, or write a song, or do some art, or do something that showed how they themselves were resilient, adaptable, kind, just the kind of things that kept them going throughout this year. We're putting that together in a showcase where we're going to show the other students what these students are doing. And the whole idea was, we just want to recognize that we all have this ability to, you know, be strong, be resilient, be kind, be adaptable within ourselves, and then just show them what we're doing. But then to make it just a little bit better, we made it a competition so that they could submit these projects. Rotary will be judging them actually on Friday, and then giving scholarships to the winners. So just really wanted to put that out there. Pretty cool thing that I think we're doing at Sandpoint High School this year is the BARK Project.
I might need interpretation on that hair that was screaming out.
Yeah, I don't know that I can interpret that at this moment. You know, it's art. I'm going to go with it's artistic.
Yes. Okay.
All right, now the hard data here. I just wanted to put up this. The top numbers here are actually the most recent state of Idaho school-wide SAT testing day that we had. Must have been about a month ago, and just wanted to point out, you can see the top line is our school scores, Sandpoint High School. The bottom line is the national SAT scores. So, you know, we were higher than the nation on every subject and overall on the SAT this year. And in fact, We grew, because I can tell by the bottom scores, we actually went up on our ACT scores, where nationally they went down by almost 30 points. We went up by 8 overall. And so, and again, if you just look across there, we beat every single column in every way, shape, form that you can look at. So, despite everything that has occurred at Sandpoint High School and throughout the nation, I just want to give you all kudos, because you set us up to continue to be successful with the plan that you guys came up with, allowing us to attend school, not shutting us down, not making us go online, all those kinds of things. So kudos to you, and I think, you know, the proof is in the numbers there. So Sandpoint High School is still very high achieving. Those scores down there are actually just the 2020 scores. So they were also high, as you can see. Almost every category we beat the nation except for one, and but this year we beat everybody. So it's awesome. We're pretty excited. On average, right? I'm sure there are some schools that got better scores than us, but. And then this is the ISAT. This is the state required testing, and so we just got those reports in. They're still sort of filtering in, so this may change just slightly, but it wouldn't be very significant if it did change. I want to point out that our English Language Arts ISAT is above the state average again. Which is really cool. Again, this is the opposite, so the state's actually at the top and our school is at the bottom. State average was 60%, our average was 64%. Sorry, that's not an average, that's actually the number of our students that passed the English language exam at proficient or better. And so beating the state average there once again. And then we also have an area for improvement there. If you look at the bottom graph, that's our math score. Statewide, it's pretty low, but we're also below the statewide average as well, or the number. So that's an area that we recognize that we can improve at Sandpoint High School. We're already working at that. We've just were notified that we received a grant from Panhandle Alliance for Education. So we're going to be using that to help support our students in math class. We actually already have 2 teachers piloting that this spring already. They're already starting to see results, which is great, and a few other things that we're looking at too, since we know that that's an issue. So ELA is fantastic. Math, we got some room to grow. Questions?
It's impressive. I loved seeing the SAT results. That's great news.
Yeah, we're really excited about that.
Yeah.
Are you using any of the materials that are provided by the state to prepare for the SAT?
For the SAT or for the ISAT?
SAT.
For the SAT, not really. I mean, it's not like we're doing any kind of prep. We're probably not in the way that you're thinking that we are. We do
the
provide
state's supporting every student in the
opportunities and
state with not
options.
only the SAT, but the PSAT and materials online to prepare for those exams.
Well, we do make our students take it every year. So, for example, our freshmen take the PSAT. Our sophomores also take, let's see what they take the PSAT, NMSQT. Oh, by the way, I missed that. We have 3 national merit qualifiers this year as well, which is fantastic.
Outstanding.
So,
yeah.
So yes, we do and we don't. I mean, it's not like it's integrated into every class that we're, telling our classrooms to, hey, follow these SAT prompts. But I think by virtue of offering the number of AP classes that we have out there, the dual credit classes that we have out there, I know the counseling department offers, some things, but probably not in the sense that you're thinking.
Is there anyone
I would
else?
like to say keep up the good work. That's
Yes.
very impressive.
Yes, it is.
Well,
Good job.
I appreciate that, but really got to tell that to my staff. We got to tell the staff.
So pass it on for us.
Lonnie and I would have just quite not made the cut on those AP classes
I know.
required for about 20.
15, I know.
Yeah,
Have to
we
lower
were
that bar a
close.
little bit.
So what's new? What do you got planned for next year? What's coming up?
Well, obviously, we're going to keep the 4x4 going into next year. We've noticed some real positives with that. We're changing a little bit of our math curriculum, so we're going to implement this IXL, do some more things with the ISAT, use some of the state materials that that they provide for the ISAT that we haven't really been utilizing. So, as far as math is concerned, that's what we're going to do. We're rearranging the way that we kind of offer some classes. Making sure that kids get the support that they need that maybe we haven't offered in the past by offering some additional classes.
So I know during COVID you reduced your classroom sizes. Are you going to be able to continue that?
No. Nope, it'll be back to norm.
We're back to normal. Are there
I wish.
anyone
I
else?
mean, if you got You got some,
Magic number?
you got a bunch of money you want to throw me on
Well,
those class
I
sizes some
just
more, but-
explained that instead of putting the prep period all at the end of the day, which allowed teachers to teach 4, they'll be back to teaching 3 out of 4 and having the full length of the day. So that intermixes the prep periods throughout the day. So we won't have as teachers.
So this-
Think of it, this year was really, they were teaching 5 classes, with the 5th class being their
Being
prep
their
at the
prep.
end of the day. Shortened time. We're going to put the instructional time back in that they'll have with the students. So,
Okay.
But we're going to continue to staff the school at the same
oh,
time.
absolutely.
Yeah, we're not cutting any staff that I've been told of yet.
No. Thank you very much,
You're welcome.
Principal Miles.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll move right along. If I can hear a motion for consent agenda.
I make a
Anyone?
motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
None opposed? Aye. None opposed, motion passes. Tom, you're up next on the schedule with negotiated agreement.
Yeah, I guess all I'd want to share with you is that the LPOEA Teachers Association ratified the negotiated agreement at 99.4% in favor. So that's just some news, and so really I'll turn that back over to Chair Lewis for you guys to have discussion on whether the board will also ratify the negotiated agreement.
Thank you. You've all had a chance to look at this, and we had a chance to discuss it. Are there any other concerns or discussion areas that you want to bring up now before we?
Oh, you ready for a motion?
It looks like everybody's looks pretty comfortable. I'm not seeing any distress signals. Motion?
I move that we approve the 21-22 negotiated agreement as presented to us.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion passes. 100%.
Thank you.
We will, are you presenting the timeline or shall I?
You can present it. I can get it started. Just remember in front of you, I brought to the board on my evaluation that we don't do one annual evaluation, but it would be good to do quarterly evaluations so that if there was a concern that the board had of the superintendent, they could bring feedback to me quarterly. And that way it would be more of an ongoing evaluation and not waiting just one time per year. And I think it's a more efficient way and a more transparent way for evaluation. And so I'll turn that over to you.
Yep, and we have all seen this timeline previously. As noted, its final evaluation is in December each year, which is a little different, but not dramatically so. And this, we're approving it now, kind of squishing our first quarterly one into the first part of May. But then we'll continue on with this schedule with a mid-year eval in July, the next quarterly in September, and then final eval in December. I would accept a motion for that.
Well, we have a motion and I have a comment after that.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the timeline for the superintendent evaluation.
I second that.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just had a comment. It seems to me that the evaluation should go along with the school year. So rather than have it right in January, mid-year, it's the way we hire our superintendents normally, July to July. I mean, I just think it makes more sense to do that, but I don't really oppose this. I mean, if that's,
I guess
if this is from the state doing it this way, or is this something we decided to do?
So if I could remind you as a board, the process in the future, not saying per this superintendent, Tom Albertson, but the hiring season is in January. That window opens in January. So this was proposed by ISBA to present it this way so that his final her final evaluation could be done in December. That way, if you chose not to renew their contract, you have that full window of the hiring season for a superintendent, which does start in January, for that next fiscal year starting July 1. This also aligns with trustee election timeline, whereas now you guys go at the general election in November, and that you're hired that first, or you start your term that first meeting in January.
It would also prevent brand new trustee from trying to submit a quarterly eval on first seat, first time in their seat. It's now on that same cycle. But also, I thought ISBA was going to be putting this into place as
this was a very strong discussion at the legislative level, but I believe that
it's not a requirement yet.
Correct. With COVID and budgetary matters, that wasn't a high topic of conversation this current legislative season, since it's not really closed.
So that kind of answers that
Yeah,
question.
it does. I can see it when you hire a superintendent the first time, it makes sense to do it. But after they've been there year after year, it just kind of seems like it should go along with the school year.
Well,
And I guess just from the standpoint of the superintendent, if there was ever a time when the school district wanted to make a change in their superintendent, it also allows that superintendent then to go apply for other positions as well.
Right.
So I think that's kind of the reasoning of that.
yeah. So if there's no other discussion on that, I will, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed, so the motion passes. So thank you for that. We have an update on our COVID-19 situation from Superintendent Albertson.
Yeah. So we still are very, very fortunate within Lake Pend Oreille School District. We were sitting at no confirmed cases, but we did pick one up today. So as you can see here is the chart that our nursing staff keeps updated. So we do have one positive case that came about at this point in time. But as you probably have followed also, we have, again, our 7-day average is at 3.7, and that would be per 100,000 people on the average. So again, we're very fortunate in our community right now, so no real concerns at this point in time. And the percent positivity, and again, this is always lagging behind. I think this was back to May 1st, was at, gosh, what was that? Just lost it. I want to say it was as low as 1.7%. Percent of the people being tested were tested positive, so it was extremely low.
Okay.
You may hear that CDC has recommended that vaccines could be available for individuals 12 to 15. It's already been 16 and above. And again, that would only be an optional thing in Lake Pend Oreille School District, but there would be an opportunity. I will let you know if you hear at this point in time, there are mobile vaccination clinics. I guess clinics. If it were to come, I have told Panhandle Health that I would be comfortable with them doing it on a Saturday, where it would be completely a parent's option for them to take their students there if they would like, but not during any school time or school hours.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So that would be my recommendation.
Right.
Well, hopefully we get to the end of the school year with the kind of data we're seeing today, so that's good.
Yeah.
So we're seeing other school districts have immunization clinics. Coeur d'Alene had one. I believe they're having them in Spokane.
Correct. Right. And we aren't going to have, I mean, it would be a mobile lab from Panhandle Health District that could come around.
In
But-
all those cases,
Yeah.
they had a partner.
Right, and I have not heard of any specific dates when they're available, of when it would be. I like making it accessible for the parents who would like to take advantage of that and make it as easy as possible, but I also don't want it to be a disruption to the educational process.
Yeah.
So,
It'd be great if we could time it when the Pfizer vaccine is available, because then we could, immunize as young as 12 years old, right?
Theoretically, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one that just got approved.
yeah, and like I said, I don't know the timeline on that yet.
Sure.
Cool.
Well, you can keep us informed
Yeah.
on that. So I'm going to move at this time to board first reading of policy. Third official.
So first reading this evening is actually on one policy and one procedure. You only, at the next meeting, make a motion on the policy 5415, other types of leave. But by law, I need to notify you about procedure, and that was procedure 5403, sick leave bank procedure. In the packet, you will see that both of these were based off changes in the negotiated agreement. So just starting with the procedure, it was negotiated that instead of 90 days in any one school year, that has been changed to 150 days during their career with LPOSD for certificated or certified staff.
Yeah. Yep.
That's the only change. There are some formatting issues on the very last part. Again, that was just procedure. Do you have any questions about that?
On the
the procedure?
No.
Okay. And then in policy, again, this was based off the negotiated agreement changes and language in that. Under bereavement leave, there's nothing struck, just an additional line that was added. An employee is entitled to 5 additional days if the death is of the spouse or child.
Right.
And that's the addition.
I have a question on that, and maybe I'm just looking at this weird, but it seems weird to me that we say it's for the death, if it's a death of a spouse or child, but then we go down and define immediately or immediate family as more than that.
Right. They're saying that there's not 5 additional days if it's one of these other categories.
Okay, because that's
It's
what
only
Yeah.
within this very close relationship of spouse or child, but you still have the 5 other days for all the others.
For your immediate family, like a parent,
Okay.
Grant.
All right.
your sibling, aunts, uncles. Any other questions on that policy?
I just have one question. What's the other type of leave?
Um,
These are all other types of leave. Which one is this? These
Which is the other?
Just regular vacation leave.
Ski day.
Oh,
But
you're-
isn't that personal leave?
Actually, no. So we are given, and Tom maybe can speak to this a little bit more, but you
the
have
vacation
personal days
days.
versus vacation days, and those are different.
Those are
yeah,
holidays.
like, right. Right, you have
Well,
certain days off for,
No.
Certified staff don't have per se vacation days.
Right.
Certified staff have personal leave days, and then they have
yeah.
sick leave.
Mhm.
So, yeah, but if there are some certified staff, like myself, I fall into a different category.
Okay.
Some other leaves.
And that's on
or other
another
classifications.
policy.
Whereas classified, like I am, I have 3 every fiscal year personal leave days plus my accrued vacation leave. So it is different per certificated and classified, if that helps
that is
Okay.
be transparent in that. Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
So there's no motion needed at first reading, and we are at announcements. And David Miles, do you have anything else you want to add to your already great announcements? Okay, I put you on the spot.
Baseball won a thriller yesterday.
That's good. Good deal.
Championship game on Wednesday for state.
Oh,
I have a
To
question.
go to state.
I have a question on baseball.
this
So-
is announcements.
I know, but this is important. So the baseball team that plays over on Pine Street, is that is that like a JV team and then the varsity plays at Memorial or something?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
typically the way that works.
All right.
Okay.
I watched part of their game the other day and it was a thriller. It ended in a thriller. It was great.
That's fun. Casey McLaughlin, do you have any announcements?
We're right in the middle of ISAT, so it's going well.
Good.
And then it becomes craziness, so, and then middle schoolers go nuts, so lose their minds, but, yeah, so we're having a great time. The kids are fantastic, they're doing great, so,
Good.
it's all excellent.
Cool.
Andrew Murray, do you have anything for?
Just ditto and kudos district-wide to staff and our kids working so hard in state testing season in an unprecedented year. I really do feel the energy of wanting to show what they know. So I think working hard, just good time to thank our staff.
Great. Don't see any other administrators doing. So with that,
I just
Ooh,
will
Superintendent.
add one announcement,
Announcement.
and they've already kind of talked about it, but I think it's important to know that we, are planning our graduation ceremonies. Clark Fork will be first on Wednesday, June 9th, followed by Lake Ponderay High School on Thursday, June 10th, and Sandpoint High Schools will be Friday, June 11th. So,
excellent. Good reminder.
three days in a row, 3 ceremonies, and I think the Decker family has a speaker out of Clark Fork. So,
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Our granddaughter is the salutatorian this year.
That's
awesome.
great.
Oh,
Yes.
Cool.
So we'll see you there.
Yes.
So you're gonna go.
I will be there.
Yes, you will be. So with that,
No. We have executive session.
we're going to
just a minute, everyone.
I think once you did that, it's final.
No, take it back. Take it back. I'd like to hear a motion to move into executive session.
I make a motion that we move into executive session as provided for in Idaho Code Title 74, Section 206, subsection 1B, to consider the evaluation, dismissal of, or disciplining of, or to hear complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent, or public school student.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Roll call, Trustee Kelly,
Aye.
Trustee Superger,
Aye.
Trustee Decker,
Aye.
Trustee Williams,
Aye.
Chair Lewis.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passed.
We will now move into executive session.